I'd like to now invite Manil Wagle to our virtual stage. Manil holds a Master of Arts in Information Systems and Technology from York University and is currently a Senior Manager, Data Science and Advanced Analytics at Oxford Properties. His past employers are in a variety of industries and organizations, including OMERS, Gate Gourmet Canada, and the University of North Texas. He's certified in SAS, Tableau, Desktop, Microsoft, amongst other systems. Welcome to the interview and thanks for joining us, Manil.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Great to see you again. So I thought maybe a good place for us to start would be for you to give the audience a bit of a story about your career journey, your path from graduation to your career, and what role your education played in that journey.
So I think York had a really great role in my life, especially since I was kind of like immigrant when I first came to Canada. So I moved to Canada from Texas. So I was kind of like in limbo what to do. I wasn't quite certain. So I got opportunity to do my master's in IT at York. And from there, things started changing for me like in a positive way. And the thing was like, I wasn't quite sure like what I wanted to do after doing IT as well. So I was exploring opportunities. So I met Professor Young. I believe she is still there. Like she was the one who completely changed my life. So I was in one of her class called quantitative research method for quantitative something. And like, I was really blown away by the way she was talking about different stats and all the metrics and all that stuff. And if I followed her and I went to listen to her, some sort of like, she was giving some speech on like a data science and analytics at that time. It was in 2012, like when like there was no data science and analytics. So then I realized that I know my path. What I wanted to do is I want to work with Dr. Yang, do my MRP or thesis with her, then figure out my career in data science and advanced analytics. And that is what I exactly did. Like initially she was hesitant to take me because she was looking for something else like computer science background, but I was kind of business and math background. But eventually I persuaded her to take me for my thesis. And from that, like rest is the history. So while I was working with her, like I got opportunity to work at OMERS, which is kind of payments company for Oxford. It's called Ontario Municipal Employee Retirement System. It's the fourth biggest pension fund in Canada. They were actually at York trying to recruit students. And I went to talk to them and I started talking about my thesis that I was doing with Professor Young, and they were really impressed. And they were like, we could actually utilize some sort of these new ideas and new thesis in our work. And that's how I got to work in OMERS. And I was at OMERS for like close to 5 years, but I started as, there wasn't anything called data science and analytics at that time. Everything was either data analyst or statistical analyst. So I started as a data analyst, then slowly I started building up, taking new courses, figuring out what was the pain point in terms of reporting, analytics, or what senior management was trying to do. Then eventually, once we got the buy-in from the senior folks, I got opportunity to create a different team called decision support team. It was one of the first team at OMERS. So basically, we were the main team where the senior folks used to come to get advice on what should we do, what sort of strategy needs to be for the next quarter or next year, but everything was backed by data and stats. So that's how we started working in the field of data science and analytics, then doing one course, next course. And the one thing with this field, I think it's with the IT as well, right? It doesn't stops. You need to constantly keep yourself updating. Like if you don't update, you're not going to be like somebody else going to come and going to take your job away or things like that. So it's constantly evolving and changing. So one thing I always recommend or suggest people, especially in IT field, is like you need to keep yourself updating all the time. You graduated, it's great. What's next, right? What's coming up in the market? Like what's to like some of the mentors are talking about cybersecurity, right? And what sort of certification they need to do the cybersecurity? What sort of certification they need to go into network for CGI, because one of the mentors is from CGI and I have a lot of friends working over there as well. And that's what a lot of these guys do, like take certification, so build up their career. So that's one of my key motivation is never stop learning. Try to, if you have some sort of passion, try to work through the passion, right? If you just have passion, it doesn't mean anything. You need to put the work, then only passion becomes reality.
So I think your story fits really well with what we're doing here tonight, which is networking. So I wondered if you might be able to elaborate any more on the role that networking and mentoring played in your journey. So you spoke just briefly about your relationship with a professor,
Yeah,
but has networking continued to be an important part of your career?
absolutely, absolutely. Like networking is key. So like there were times, like to be honest, like there was times when I was first studied at Omers, like things was not going well. So I went to look for the mentor. And if it wasn't for that mentor, like I would have left the company and went somewhere else. But the mentor guided me in such a way that he actually told me this story, like how he grew up in his career, what were some of the struggles he had, how he navigated these struggles. So basically, he motivated me and encouraged me to do the things that he had done when he was young. So that was the reason I decided to stay and give it one more try, one more go, and change myself to be in the better mix at Omers. So that's how I was happy to stay at the Omers. Otherwise, like there were times like if it wasn't for my mentor, like I would have left almost a long time ago and things would have might be different. So networking is always the key. And even when I moved from Omers to Oxford, like it was because I usually do like a coffee chat, especially if it's Fridays or Thursdays, to the people from different entities. So in one of the coffee chat, I met one of the great people from Oxford. And after talking for a couple of times, he was really impressed. We got some sort of connection, and he was like, "Do you want to come and work for me?" I was like, why not? Absolutely. I always wanted to work in real estate. So that's how I got my transition from pension capital market to the real estate investments.
So that's really interesting, right? That networking and mentorship isn't just about getting your foot in the door for the first job, but it
Yeah,
it kind of continues throughout your career as part of your professional development.
absolutely. Yeah.
So what's the kind of advice that has been best that you've got from mentors from your experience?
The one I just earlier said was for the first man mentor told me was if you have a passion, it's great, but passion not gonna get you promotion, passion not gonna get you like out of in front of the senior folks. You need to put some hard work. And once you put the hard work, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be next week, but eventually things will get out. People will start
Mhm.
recognizing you. But the key thing was always have empathy, respect for other, and at the same time, keep putting on the hard work. So that was the key advice the mentor gave me that time.
Yeah, that's great, and it's really good advice, and the kind of the reason why you would build that kind of relationship to get that kind of insight and their experience. So you're going to be talking to students, and our other alumni mentors here are going to be talking to students this evening. But maybe just to get things going before we get into the networking sessions, do you want to give students any advice on how they can make the most of their networking opportunities or advice about careers in the field of information technology?
Absolutely. And the key thing is like, don't be shy because we are here to help the students. So please feel free to ask anything. And if you want to make connection, like add us in the LinkedIn, send us a message and let's see how the connection goes. But the key thing is please ask question and don't be shy because we are here to help you all.
And then I guess just from an IT perspective, I'm throwing in an
Yeah.
extra question here, but
Yeah.
are there particular areas in IT right now that you see as like growth areas or opportunities that students might be able to focus on?
Absolutely. I think a lot of the other mentors are much more seasoned than me in terms of IT because we
Okay.
talked. I'm more in kind of like a data science and advanced analytics, which is kind of like explosion, but same with
Hmm.
cybersecurity and networking. All these three fields are, I think, in major fire at the moment.
Hmm. So would you recommend for undergraduate students that they might want to look at something like the master's program that you did?
Absolutely. Yeah. It depends upon if they wanna continuously do the studies, that's really great part because rather than spending a year or two trying to look for the work, the good thing about the master program I did is there is opportunity to do at the part-time as well. So while they are looking for a job or while they
Mhm.
are doing something else, they can continue the program. So it's just going to help them enhance their skills and get them ready for the next phase.
Right. And that's the Masters of Information Systems Technology program.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know students are eager to get into the networking part of this evening, so we're going to move over to that next. But I wanted to thank you so much for sharing these insights.